and welcome to this training video on the new Berkshire College Curriculum and Planning approach. I'm going to be giving you a short overview here so that the lesson plans and academic materials you will be using this year make a bit more sense. Now, to begin, I'd like to show the Foreign Languages Department mission statement. This is quite important as you will see these key words, which outline our approaches to foreign language education, reflected throughout our academic program. It is our goal as a department to clearly state what we do and to do what we say. This mission statement is where it begins, and it says, to develop confident communicators and thinkers who enjoy the process of language learning and who are able to use their language skills while accomplishing real-world goals and in becoming productive world citizens. Now, to continue, I'd like to go over some of the main components of our curriculum and talk about what this means for you as teachers and for our students in the classroom. These components revolve around two academic and organizational frameworks, both of which were completed and published at about the same time, about 20 years ago at the turn of the century. This first framework helps us define the approach to learning that our foreign languages curriculum is based on. This is the Understanding by Design framework, originally conceptualized by J. McTighe and Grant Wiggins in their book of the same title. Known as UBD and requiring what is known as a backward by design approach to education program planning, the Understanding by Design framework is today a standard tool used in progressive 21st century schools all over the world. It helps us keep the focus on our students and to base our academic plans on them and how they learn best, on what they need to learn, and on the most efficient way to organize all of the many components of an academic curriculum with the massive number of contact hours our program has. Currently, a student entering Berkshire College in the standard track will, from kindergarten through grade 11, receive nearly 5,000 contact hours in English and hundreds more in their second foreign language, whether that is German, Spanish, or French. If this time is used in a focused way that allows us to intelligently combine the many useful approaches, methodologies, and tools in the 21st century language teacher's toolkit, there is no reason we cannot ensure successful learning for all of our students. And this is the benefit of UBD. Rather than following a course book linearly and progressing through language learning activities with no clear organizing concepts or ideas, a situation in which student retention and skill building will naturally lag, UBD allows us to begin with a theme and a big idea to focus student learning within a particular unit of instruction and to make sure all learning engagements in that theme are coherently aligned to contribute to the overarching learning objectives of the unit. And then, unit by unit, students will progress to a full understanding of a wide range of central ideas that together make up the core of our curriculum, or what we want our students to take from their education at Berkshire College. Now, I mentioned another framework, and this is one that you're surely familiar with, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, known as the CEFR. Most of you know its levels, A1, A2, B1, B2, and the C levels. Our curriculum generally moves from pre-A1 levels in kindergarten through A1 and A2 in primary, B1 in middle school, and B2 in high school. This means that students in those grades would typically, when assessed, be expected to perform according to the CEFR descriptors assigned at those respective levels, obviously with some variation and exceptions. The CEFR being quite a general framework, however, is not enough to establish the level of standardization necessary in our program, which is being implemented in parallel at 130 schools. Thus, we have a whole host of standardization tools that are based on the CEFR and that allow us to more intelligently specify the language learning standards and levels in our program. These include the Global Scale of English, which I highly recommend all of you investigate. The GSE was developed a few years ago and provides a much more detailed list of descriptors targeted to learner type and including young learners, which the original CEFR did not include. The GSE moves on a 10 to 90 point scale. Note that there's no 1 through 10 or 90 through 100 because there are no truly zero English learners, nor are there perfect English users. It's aligned with the CEFR levels and helps us account for incremental progress throughout our program. Other standardization tools include the English profile for grammar and vocabulary, which help us identify where grammar and lexical forms are typically encountered according to CEFR level, and the equals core inventory, which tells us more of the same and includes communicative language functions by level as well. Together, these tools allow us to clearly define student progress in our program, tell us where and when to introduce and recycle language forms, help us ensure level appropriateness in our academic materials and assessments, and make sure we can avoid gaps in learning. Now, these two frameworks, UBD and the CEFR, are the two main academic and organizational bases of our Bhattacharya College Foreign Languages curriculum. At this point then, let's dive a little deeper into what our curriculum actually looks like. Currently, our curriculum includes two main parts, the core curriculum and an extension track. The core program is and always will be parallel at all Bhattacharya College campuses in Turkey and abroad. The extension program varies according to school and allows us to both support slower learners remedially and to enrich faster learners with material more befitting of their levels. For this year, the new curriculum is being implemented in kindergarten through 7th grade, and then next year it will also be implemented in high school. Both the core and extension parts of the curriculum are planned and implemented according to a theme-based and unit-based approach, which is progressive by language level throughout the program. This allows for a CLIL-oriented approach, where it is easy to make interdisciplinary connections while also being language level appropriate. In turn, each theme-based unit is organized with a backward-by-design mentality that allows for project-based learning. Indeed, each unit has a culminating project at the end of each unit. On average, there are 6 units per year, but this depends on the grade level and the number of contact hours. In 5th grade, for example, there are 24 units because we have 20 contact hours per week. To break this down further, let's look at the essential components of each unit. It all begins with a central idea, or big idea, as we present it to our students. The central idea is an engaging and level-appropriate statement that we want our students to grasp as the main goal of the unit. The first question is, how will we know when they've grasped this idea? This is where our summative assessment task comes into play. The summative assessment task is a project at the end of each unit that allows students to demonstrate a number of summative learning outcomes, each of which contribute to a full understanding of the central idea. How are these outcomes identified? Well, we've looked at the central idea and tried to draw out a number of outcomes representing a full range of Bloom's taxonomy cognitive skills. The more basic, lower order outcome is first, and then there's a higher order outcome leading to the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy, which is creation, and which is embodied in the creation of the summative assessment task/unit project. Each unit project will eventually have an assessment rubric further breaking down the summative learning outcomes according to measurable criteria. So this is in a nutshell how a unit works. But then the question is, how do we build up to the unit project during the lessons in the unit? The key word is inquiry-based. Our curriculum, just like most 21st century foreign language curricula, is learner-centered and guides them through their own path of inquiry on the way to achieving the big picture unit goals, demonstrated in the summative assessment task. This inquiry occurs lesson by lesson, guided by a number of essential questions, which themselves break down the central idea of the unit. Answering all of the essential questions in the unit leads to a student grasping the central idea. While exploring these essential questions through the learning engagements and materials both inside and outside of the lessons, students will also be demonstrating a number of formative learning outcomes, which are very specific and which are included as mileposts to show teachers that students are making the appropriate lesson-by-lesson progress toward the unit goal. Thus, we reach the final step of our backward-by-design approach, in which the specific learning engagements and activities students encounter in each lesson are now coherently packaged together and all contribute to the accomplishment of a unit goal, the internalization of a central idea and its demonstration in a project. So this is the UBD element of our plan. However, we're not done yet. We still must account for the CEFR portion, which, as we've mentioned, helps us ensure that our students are learning in a level-appropriate way that builds progressively as they move through our program. This standardization first occurs when we align CEFR-based GSE learning objectives to our formative learning outcomes and learning engagements. Alignment of learning objectives is done by our academic teams and occurs by way of a feedback loop as we continually revise and refine our curriculum. A feedback loop means that we first align objectives in the GSE with the formative learning outcomes and learning engagements that we have included in our plans. And then we review each unit and across all units to make sure that we have covered all of the GSE learning objectives with the appropriate frequency and without gaps. Accordingly, we will be making further revisions to the curriculum this year and beyond. This is the first step in standardizing our curriculum. The next step is aligning each unit with a portion of the Bachishir College Core Inventory. This inventory of language functions, grammar, vocabulary, and more is produced by referencing the English Profile and Equals Core Inventory. When aligning, we want to make sure that the language forms we are teaching, whether implicitly or explicitly, match up with the level in which they are being taught, and that we do not miss any or move to any more complex forms without covering a prerequisite language form first. For example, a very basic example, we wouldn't want to teach the present perfect before we have covered the past simple. Together, these standardization tools help us ensure a curriculum with a logical flow and a clear progression from K to grade 10, levels pre-A1 to B2+. Now, those are the main components of the Bachishir College Foreign Languages curriculum. We do have other elements that we are currently in the process of aligning to our curriculum as well. For example, we are planning to work with Cambridge University in order to align Cambridge's new Life Competencies Framework and its level-based descriptors to our curriculum. Currently, this is a work in progress, so you will not see this section completed in every single unit planned. However, we have included the section to make sure we are ready for this integration in the future. Okay, that's a sweeping overview of our new academic program. Now I'm going to leave you, and you'll continue with the next video, which will give you an overview of the new unit plan document. Enjoy, and as always, please feel free to contact us at fld@bachishir.k12.tr with your follow-up questions. Take care and have a great school year.